Hello, hello. Welcome to Tanesia's Locks Beauty Tips and Potpourri. It is wonderful to be back in the house. Hello, everyone. Happy middle of March. I hope that everyone is doing fine, that you're flourishing, that you're feeling peaceful, productive, and prosperous. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about these crazy braces. They're driving me crazy. I can't wait to get these off, y'all. Every other week is something in the way these feel and the way my mouth is situated. Anyway, today I want to talk about 10 things that you don't expect from Sisterlocks, or 10 things that you don't know about Sisterlocks that you are likely to find out as you continue on this journey. So stick around and let's see what we're going to talk about. Okay, first and foremost, you may not realize that you can learn how to do your own retightenings, and you only have to retighten a certain portion of your hair. You don't have to do your whole hair. Why might that be good for you? It's what I do. I need to manage what happens in the sensitive areas of my hair. In the areas of hair that, based on my research, are really given to thinning. So for some time now, I have been doing my retightenings around the front. Now, I just had, by the way, I got a lot of stuff growing in here. So I'm really frizzy this month. This is a lot of new hair stuff I got happening here, y'all. I'm really frizzy. And then I got a baby over here that I'm nursing. I put a little extension on, but when Efraj was doing my hair on Sunday, it fell off. So I can't claim that anymore. But, if there's a part of your hair, because many of us, as you go through this journey, y'all are complaining about hair loss, thinning, balding. If there's a part of your hair that is susceptible to breakage, you might want to start retightening that particular part of your hair. And don't say I can't retighten, it's too hard and all of that, because y'all, taking ownership over this part of the journey is really, really important to you. All you need is a little plastic craft needle, all right? And you're going to sew and tighten just like a piece of thread. All right, so you're going to just put this little baby in here. And why might you want to do this? You might want to do this because, and you, of course, you want to make sure you're not marrying anything, but you might want to do this because of the fact that you have some areas of your hair. My hair is already retightened, y'all. It doesn't need to be retightened. So I really don't, this is not really required. But you might want to do this simply because you have a situation where your hair needs to be handled with care and concern because it's a sensitive area. You could just be tender-headed and need to work on parts of your hair with a lot more dedicated care to a particular area. You could be in a situation where a part of your hair grows faster than another part, and maybe waiting in between retightenings is a bit too much. You could be in a place where, for me, the thinnest locks are around the top. I don't know if you all remember when I had Efraj to install my locks, there were some that were larger than what I was comfortable with. 10 years later, do I wish I had left them alone? Maybe some of them. But because of that, when she divided them up for me, she let me know what some of the issues would be. And I said, do it anyway. And so those areas that she divided up for me, as time has gone on, those are areas that I'm really, 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 really careful about because the locks are a lot thinner in those areas. So in between as well, because it's at the front, you notice that for me, my hair grows faster where it's softer. And so because of that, or let me say it like this, I may have more slippage where it's softer. I'm not going to say it really grows faster because my hair around the crown seems to grow slower than anywhere else, but it's stronger than anywhere else. But because of that, it's important for me to, as the locks start to slide or as it appears that the new growth is more prominent, I need to retighten and I need to be able to do it softer. So that's why I want to do it. But that's something that you might not necessarily know that you want to be mindful of in your journey. Take on, and never do what I just did, come up here on the channel or anywhere for that matter while you're talking. Thank goodness. See, that would have been a married lock. and try to do your hair while you're not paying attention while you're talking. But I just got my retightening and I'm very happy with it. I went back to eat fries, which brings me to number 2. One of the things about Sisterlocks that you're going to want to know, that you don't want to take for granted, is just because you have a grid, someone will respect your grid and not marry your locks. Shout out to, who is the sister that sent me a text last night complaining about, and I got to read this to y'all. She didn't want to do a video. Now, remember, I'm asking you all to send me 2-minute clips, no more than 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minute clip of your experience with either your Sisterlocks journey. It could be with the I Am Melanin Magic product. It could be with something to do with some of the challenges. It could be your Loctician, whatever it is. Send me a copy of your video. All you have to do is send it as a link to my phone, upload it to Google Drive, phone number 678-438-6442, and share your experience. Let me add it onto the channel. Don't be camera shy, y'all. This channel serves a lot of women in our age group, and we need more of us to be comfortable with sending in videos. Don't worry. Nobody, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, and if you don't feel you are, you are. Just be yourself. Just talking to your cell phone in a room that's well lit, or with a mirror, not a mirror, a window behind you. Or, well, the window's behind the camera, but you're facing the camera, you're facing the window, and the lighting is good, and the volume is up, and just send it. We want to share anything that has to do with your lock journey that you feel other sisters should know and can benefit from. We are a diverse community. We have about 20K subscribers, and the more that you all will share your videos on the channel and allow me to put a little snippet in there and, in the middle of one of my videos, the more we can reach women who may see a different solution to something that they're not getting from me, that you have experienced, that you have firsthand knowledge of. So I think that's really interesting. I gotta find this, because this sister, this was really interesting. She basically said that she's had 3, and the problem is I get a lot of content to my phone, which is why I just can't answer it most of the time, because it's my business phone, plus it's the phone number that I've left for the channel. So I get a lot of information. And if you don't send me your name right away, and I don't have an opportunity to save it, and I get distracted and other calls come in or other business comes in, I just don't always get back to it. But just give me a second. If I don't get this in 30 seconds, I'm just going to have to pause the video. I'm not crazy about editing, but I think it's kind of important. Anyway, what this sister was saying was that she was highlighting this issue of marrying locks, and that is what number 2 is. You're going to have to be aware that many locticians will marry locks. Now, when I was talking with Efraj this past week about the married locks, she just couldn't understand how can someone marry a lock? Like, they're standing over your head, they can see. And also, how do you marry a lock and not know that you married a lock? So she's a loctician herself. So that's pretty interesting if you think about it. She's saying, how do you marry a lock and not know you married a lock? And we're not talking about when a loctician marries a lock because your locks are thinning and she makes a professional decision, which still she should share with you. We're talking about marrying locks by way of error. That's what we're talking about, by way of error. And so this is I'm going to look up the word video, because I told her to create a video, and maybe I can find it by searching the term. So this is something that you really got to be mindful of, which is why here it is. She says, I'm not comfortable making a video. Okay, so shout out to Monica. This is what she said. Hi, Tanisha. My name is Monica, and I love your content. Thank you, Monica. I messaged you about a month ago telling you about a loctician that wanted to charge me $40 for a transfer fee. Anyhow, I declined her. Long story short, I left my original lady because she married lots of my locks several times and had an attitude when I mentioned it to her for the 3rd time. She had an attitude. Got a new loctician. I explained to her that marrying was a big concern of mine. She listened and assured me she wouldn't. Well, after 2 weeks, I shampooed, and while going through the locks, I couldn't believe what was happening. Emoji. Not again. She was so easy to talk to and seemed so concerned. And these are the married locks. Look at that. That's a piece of hair here. Looks like a nail. Her nail, the discoloration between the nail and the, I forget what it's called, y'all, but it looks like part of her nail in the married lock. So here is Monica just drawing attention to this, saying that this is a problem. And I'm saying it's a problem. Now, I've had 2 locticians for 10 years, and neither one of them have married my locks ever. I go to someone else, and my locks are married. And maybe one day I will read to you all her response. Okay, on to number 3, all right? Your locks will compress after a few years. All right, so what you may be seeing in year 1, 2, and 3, it took my locks 5 years to compress. What you may be seeing in years 1, 2, and 3 is not going to be how they're going to look. When they start to compress, they're going to look like the reason why you wanted to get locks in the first place. They're going to be thin and little and not as bumpy and all of that stuff. And what happens when I say compress is they're going to do like this. And they're going to grow. Now when they grow in tighter. The lock tightens, and then that allows it to drop. So you don't have the curliness and the bounciness and some of the full body that you had before, but you have a longer lock. You have a lock that lays more, and you have one that is tighter and more compressed. So when your locks begin to grow out from the root, they grow directly into a pattern. And there's less resistance and rebellion. That's when you start to really love this part of your lock journey. Okay. Number 4, you will need to make a decision about oiling your hair. You're just going to have to. I still have some of you text me now and ask me what to do about oil. And y'all know, I don't give personal advice about hair. I don't like to do that. I talk on this channel about my experiences and what I've done with my hair. I want to provide awareness with some things that I think are really important to our community, but I can't tell you what to do with your hair, and I just don't feel comfortable with that. I may make a suggestion on the channel, but it is still based on my experiences, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to think about what is best for you based on your own unique hair care journey. There is no one size shoe that fits all. Whether it's Iron Melanin Magic or something else. Some of you absolutely love it. Some of you may not love it. I don't know. But I know that this can't possibly be the perfect product for everybody. For some of you, it's allowed your hair to grow in areas where you had no hair for over 3 or 4 years and you thought you were done. For others of you, you prefer the magical hair growth serum because that's working for you. Some of you use both. Some of you will text me and say, which one do I need? It's kind of hard for me to say. The magical hair growth serum is medicinal. It was for the therapeutic purpose of helping your hair to regrow and regenerate. It's medicinal, so it doesn't have a beautiful, wonderful smell. But this, although it was created for moisture for my hair initially and health, one of the unintended consequences is that it really thickened, it provided moisture and conditioning, and for many of you, it has regrown hair where you thought no hair could ever regrow. So, and it smells wonderful because it was designed for the purpose of dealing with my dry, itchy flakiness, dealing with some of the other stuff that I had to deal with, lock funk, when I was using products that just weren't all natural and didn't do it for my hair and were too heavy. So which of the products work for you? It may be something else, but you will get to a point where you're going to need to make a decision about what is best for your hair in terms of moisture. Many of us will give a shout out on this channel and we'll say things like, look, my loctician said not to put oil in my hair, but my hair is itching. It's been a year now. My scalp is flaky. And I'll say what I have always said, which is, did you need oil on your hair before you got Sisterlocks? Then you're probably going to need oil on your hair after Sisterlocks. You're still washing, you're still interacting with the elements, you're still out in the sun. Some of you are still swimming, we're still sweating. You may not be putting heat on your hair, although some of us are. Some of us are still rolling. By the way, I'm going in for a beautiful curly style tonight. We're going to see how it goes tomorrow. It'll be tiny curls. I'm going back, I'm going to be mixing a whole lot of stuff. But So my thing is, I need that on my hair, and I also have enough sense to know that when you have dry, itchy, flaky scalp, eventually it's going to affect your follicle health, and eventually you're going to lose hair anyway. So my hair needs a little bit of assistance in the same way that I supplement my diet with certain things, in the same way that I know that if I need some vitamins or some greens drink, I'm going to give myself what it needs. I'm trying to give myself the best advantage possible, and I'm going to try to take out things that I might be doing that may not be helpful to me. So that's something you want to be concerned about in terms of whether or not you should oil. It is a personal choice. Many of us are finding we need some amount of oil on our hair, even if it's just a little bit. I don't saturate my hair with a whole lot of this because I don't need a whole lot of this. But I tell you one thing, in the beginning I used to go all the way down the length of my hair. I find I don't need that as much anymore. So then I just spray right here. And I allow it to move through, and goodness, it smells so good. And y'all, I'm 10 years in, and y'all see my grid is still looking okay. Even though I have done so much with it, and even though I've made some modifications with some of my locks, I'm happy with the grid. And on to the next one, okay, which is number 4, and that is, do not worship your grid. You don't want to get in the habit of worshiping your grid. You want your grid to look good, and you want to maintain it, and you want the person that you're paying to retighten your hair to be conscious of your grid so that it doesn't look crazy because they haven't been doing what they needed to do. But all grids are not created equally. And so your grid may not look like somebody else's grid. You may have a different shaped head. Certain locks may lay differently around your hair. The volume of your hair will necessitate how small or large your locks are. So all I'm saying in this vein here is that don't worship the grid. Don't think that because your grid doesn't look exactly like someone else's, although it's the grid that's proprietary, and it can be proprietary, but the grid is going to perform differently on every head of hair. It's going to look differently. It may be the same grid in terms of scale, but it's going to be different. And for sure, the same loctician or different locticians have different mastery levels. All right. On to number 5, your loctician. All right. Do not blindly trust your loctician. And this is not to say anything negative about locticians. We need them. We love them. Okay. If you're going to worship anything, let it be your loctician and not your grid. All jokes. But the thing here is that many of us are finding that when we can cultivate a wonderful, constructive relationship based on feedback, trust, and accountability with our locticians, we are much happier and they are happier to serve us. So that's a relationship that you have to nurture. You don't want to treat your loctician like someone you just sit down in a chair with and pay, and you're not concerned about her as a person, or you don't try to make an effort to be sincere and develop a relationship. But by the same token, you don't want to just assume that everybody has the same work ethic, that everybody has the same set of moral principles by which they serve their clientele base. You're going to find that you may be disappointed more than anything else, okay? It's important that you understand, no matter where you are in this journey, that your loctician consultant is not perfect, okay? And so what you end up doing is you end up weighing what your issues are. Would you rather not have married locks and have a pretty uneventful retightening with little pain or no pain at all, ideally no pain and discomfort at all, or would you rather her start exactly on time because she's 10 or 15 minutes late, or she has to stop 2 or 3 times to tend to her little son or daughter that may be in the area? Like, which is more important? I'm going to say go for quality over anything else. The quality of the retightening is going to make you happier than anything else, even if it takes a little longer, even if it means a longer commute. If it's someone who does really good work and you can trust them, stay with them. It's a very important relationship. On to number 6, which is that more than likely you're going to end up moving to another loctician at some point in your journey. It's always good to have a backup. I don't care how much of a favorite your particular loctician is, you must always have a backup plan or have be cultivating a relationship or observing the work of someone else or talking to other people who are satisfied with their locticians, you're going to want to make sure that you're doing that on a regular basis, because at any time, anything can happen and your loctician may not be available. COVID was a perfect example of many sisters having to learn how to lock their own hair. Many people had a lot of breakage because they were not able to maintain their locks during times where people were pretty much shut down and they weren't able to get to their regular loctician. So, y'all, this is something that is very, very important. All right, on to number 7, the apple cider vinegar rinse. I'm going to talk a little bit about this. I did a video about it and I haven't posted it yet. I put it on video and I just have to edit it because it was way, way long, because I actually filmed myself while I was lying there doing my hair. One thing I'm going to tell you about that apple cider vinegar rinse, because I did that one, and sometime before I did the Dawn deep cleaning. I'm going to say that the apple cider vinegar rinse is touted as being a wonderful thing, and I do think it is, because it does really clean your hair. I mean, it cleans it well. Your hair is going to shine like it hasn't shined before in the roots and 2, 3, 4 inches above the roots. This is what I'm talking about, because I can see my hair is darker there. I can see the shine more readily. But I will tell you this. That apple cider vinegar rinse will bring up everything. So unless you are prepared, and I was concerned about that with Sisterlocks, because most of the people who you see do the rinse that I've seen have the thicker locks, and you see all this stuff come up, and then you see the apple cider vinegar rinse turn the water brown, and mysteriously all that stuff is gone. Well, Ronnie did it too. And Ronnie has traditional locks, my daughter, and Ronnie spent the next day trying to get that gook out that came up. And that's what happened to me. I took another subset of my hair and did 3 more washes because of what I saw in the day after. When I first finished with my hair, I was like, oh gosh, this is great. You know, I was on the camera and I'm like, oh, okay, you know. But then I remembered, I said, well, let's see how it's going to look once everything fully dries. Now, this is when I had blow dried it. But the next morning, I went through and I noticed areas where my hair was not fully clean, or where whatever needed to come up wasn't quite able to escape. So I said, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this? Because y'all know how picky I am. Y'all know how picky I am, right? Any cotton or any lint or anything that I thought I had gotten out came to the surface. I think I'm good now, because I still, now that my hair color has returned to almost normal, I can see just about everything in my hair. Before, when I had the rinses in there, the rinses would sometimes cover some of what I thought I had gotten out and I couldn't quite see it. But the apple cider vinegar rinse, don't be surprised if you don't have to go back into a lock somewhere, open it up a little bit, kind of massage it and ready it, so that next time you do a cleansing or clarifying shampoo, whatever else the apple cider vinegar brought out that could not fully be dissolved comes up. The other thing you'll remember I did was I mixed a little bit of clarifying shampoo into the apple cider vinegar and baking soda so that it could stay on my hair and work. I don't know if that was the situation or not, if that contributed to anything or delayed the ability of certain waste matter to dissolve. I'm going to say not, because the next day when I did it 3 more times on this section of hair, I was using pure baking soda and vinegar, and I made the formula a little bit stronger. Granted, I've been really moisturizing too, okay, because it does make your hair feel dry. Not as dry as what people can carry on about, but it does dry your hair out some, and so you need to be aware of that, and you need to replenish the moisture in your hair. So with the apple cider vinegar rinse, if you've done it before and you've had Sisterlocks, I want you to leave a comment if you are at this part in the video, and just let me know what your experience was. Because anything that's coming up that needs to come out is going to be shown, and you're going to see it, and you're going to want to, if you're very picky about your hair like me, you're going to be like, oh my God, what is this? Where did this come from? Ooh. You know, so you want to be very, very mindful of that. What I have decided to do moving forward, though, is every 2 or 3 rinses, every 2 or 3 shampoos, go ahead and use a clarifying shampoo. I think that that is important. because over time, with the elements, with the changes in weather, with the kind of clothing you wear, with what you may be putting in your hair, some of you may be using conditioner, some of you may be switching around to different shampoos, some of you could be putting too much oil in your hair, too much product in your hair. Whatever it is, you're going to need your hair to have that deep cleansing. Your scalp gets a very deep cleanse. If you're having problems with dandruff, the apple cider vinegar rinse will help with that. It will definitely allow your hair to feel so much lighter and more weightless. Anything that may have been bogging your hair down from years ago that you weren't aware of, it's going to assist you with that, and it will really feel good. So that's the verdict with that. I'm going to post that video soon, you all, so that you can see it. But just keep in mind, it does cleanse. It does a wonderful job. But because it cleanses and it brings up stuff, I didn't have the result like a lot of people on those other videos where everything came up and it came out. I had to go back through and cleanse, and I had to do some other things to help with that apple cider vinegar rinse. And I think it has to do with the fact that our locks are just little and tight. And we have an interlocking pattern that tends to hold stuff in it, whereby with traditional locks, even though it's matted, because it's been rolled, you still can kind of pick at the hair and kind of massage it open some. And because these are so little, I think that aspect of it is compromised a bit. So just beware of that, all right? Number 8, which you may not know, is you hear me talk about on the channel all the time, watch the frequency of your retightenings. Make sure you're on a retightening schedule that works for you. The standard for some locticians is 4 to 6 weeks. For many of us, that is not necessary. That could be too soon. For some of us, going 8 or 9 weeks may not be ideal for you. It depends on your particular needs for your hair. As during certain seasons, your hair will grow at a different rate than other seasons. Not just seasons in terms of winter, spring, summer, fall, but seasons of your life as well. Also, above and beyond that is the issue of the quality of the retightenings. If you're getting frequent retightenings, when you could go an additional 1 or 2 weeks and your retightenings are painful, or they're being tightened too close to your scalp, or your head is being pulled and it feels itchy after retightening, maybe your retightening itself and the way your loctician is retightening your hair is more of a threat than the frequency of your retightening. If you were having it done, say for example, say you did it by yourself, I would go so far to say, if I did my own retightening and I was retightening my hair every 5 or 6 weeks, I'd probably still be fine. Because I know for me, I'm going to do one lock at a time and I'm going to pull it through like a cotton ball, going through, whatever. It's just going to be so gentle. So my hair is not going to suffer any trauma. My hair might be better off because then I don't have to deal with locks tangling, depending upon what phase of growth my hair is in and how fast it's growing. But if I'm going to my loctician consultant and she is a little rough on my hair and I'm getting my hair done every 4, 5, 6 weeks, then all that means is I'm increasing the frequency of the trauma that my hair is undergoing, and that's not going to be good for me. So expect to have to make a decision with regard to the frequency of your retightenings, and you want to be with a loctician who is a bit flexible and is not just going to say, okay, all of my clients do 4 to 6 weeks, and if you come in later than that, then for each week you're late, it's going to be an extra $50, because your hair may not need every 4 or 6 weeks. Number 9, Tangled and locks that want to marry, not the locks that your locticians will marry. When you have Sisterlocks and your hair begins to grow out, depending again upon which phase of the cycle that you are in, which season of your life you're in, which season your hair is in terms of its growth cycle, you're going to find that at certain times your hair is tangling more at the root. So you can't afford to go 2 and 3 weeks without going through and checking on your hair. After a retightening, you notice that nothing is tangled. Okay, there's nothing that's coming up, right? Your hair is in great shape. You can see this, right? But you also know that when you are dealing with hair that is starting to grow and you're in a certain phase of growth, then you can also expect that you're going to have little hairs that become entangled. And the longer you wait before you get your next retightening, you're going to have more of those hairs kind of get ensnared together and they start to tangle. And eventually you're going to have to apply a little pressure or some of this or a type of detangler to let sit in there, and so that you can pull it apart so that you don't have to snatch it, or so that hopefully you don't have to cut it either. But the idea is that if you expect to be hands off in this journey, you're not going to be hands off. The Sisterlock journey is a journey for the brave of heart. It is a journey that you need to own. It is one that requires an active participation in your own rescue. And I'm just going to keep saying that, y'all, because you cannot just sit down in the chair, let someone else do your hair, and you don't come back until the next retightening. That's going to be the best way to lose your hair, to have it to start to thin, and to be dealing with other issues that cause you to be frustrated and cause you eventually to just abandon the journey and never want to come back. Which brings me to number 10. If you do all the things that I talk about on this channel and many of the other great YouTubers who do a lot of videos on Sisterlocks, and you can look at their hair and see that their hair is still thriving regardless of how long they've been in the journey, you're going to find that it will be one of the best decisions that you have ever made. You will not have another bad hair day. If you find the right loctician, your hair can thrive, barring any health conditions, stress, issues with hormones, diet, and so forth and so on. If you can find the right mix of retightenings, quality control, owning and participating in your own rescue, checking your own hair, being vigilant, finding the right moisture source for your hair, I am Melanin Magic.com, 678-438-6442. I can direct you to the site. You're going to find that you will not regret any aspect of this journey. It will by far be the best decision you've ever made if you're making this decision for a lifestyle, if you're making this decision so that you can experience the abundance and ease of having beautiful locks and a head full of hair. This is going to be your go-to style if you want flexibility, if you want the ability to wake up every day and spend less than 2 or 3 minutes on your hair, if any at all. Sisterlocks is going to be wonderful for you. And Sisterlocks fundamentally are the same as Microlocks. Okay, so when I say Sisterlocks, I'm talking about folks who have Microlocks as well. I don't differentiate. If it's a small lock, it's carefully done, and you have a nice grid, to me, it's one in the same, because the maintenance can be very similar, and all we're talking about is a particular grid. But the locks themselves, what they need, what they require, what you're going to have to be able to do, what your loctician is going to be responsible for, a lot of that is kind of the same. So while they may not be identical, they have a lot of commonalities. You're with Tanisha Ali of Tanisha's Locks, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri. Please put in the comment section your experience with the apple cider vinegar rinse, if you have done it, or even the Dawn rinse. That one was not as harsh, and I got a great clean, but it didn't bring anywhere near up what I saw with the acid apple cider vinegar rinse. So I want you to let me know what your experiences are, because I'm trying to figure out, is it because of the Sisterlocks that I would need to do this multiple times to really get at anything that comes up because they're so tight, or is it because of something that I did in terms of my formula, or was it just me and my own personal situation? So let me know how you feel about that. Thank you for visiting our channel. We are closely approaching 20K. I want to thank all of you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Oh yeah, there's a sale on I Am Melanin Magic for the anti-aging serum. It's 2 for $65, which is an excellent deal. That's almost 40% off. It probably is close to 40% off the regular price. So it's a wonderful time. That sale says to the end of March, but it will be into the end of April, because I've done an associated video for it for March, the beginning of March, which I never uploaded. So if you're sticking around to the end, go to the IamMelaninMagic.com site. If you're interested in the formula that's going to revitalize your skin, y'all, okay, no makeup. It's going to make you feel good just under my circles. That's going to work on those little lines up here and soften those lines and make you feel good and give you your glow back and allow your skin to feel moisturized but not overly oily, even if you have combination skin, even if you have oily skin, it may be counterintuitive to use an oil serum, but trust me, this will resolve many of your skin issues, even if you are acne sensitive. You all know I'm acne sensitive. My skin will break out. So this formula was specifically designed not to cause any issues with your skin, because it does not clog your pores. In fact, it does the opposite, and it helps to balance the natural oil accumulation within your skin that is very much needed. It helps to clean bacteria. It helps to soften lines. It helps to provide a little bit of plumpness. You definitely feel radiant with the exfoliation capacity. Your skin begins to shine and glow a little bit more. You feel better. You feel a lot more confident as well, because your skin feels wonderful. And the longer you use it, the more you're going to like it. Whether you put 2 or 3 drops on your skin, and little goes a long way, or a little bit more than 2 or 3 drops, or whether you put it in your favorite face cream, however you decide to use it, you will love it. Thanks again, everybody, for sticking around for the video. I'm going to start on my curls, and I'll talk to you again soon.